Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we dive into The War on Journalism by seasoned investigative journalist Andrew Fowler. This 2015 work unveils the complex obstacles that reporters and media professionals face in their quest for truth while operating under an umbrella of increasing governmental control and private sector scrutiny. As a veteran in the field, having contributed extensively to the esteemed Australian Broadcasting Corporation's programme Four Corners, and having held significant positions such as foreign editor and chief of staff at the Australian, Fowler brings a wealth of experience and insight to these pages. Notably, his interviews with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange led to his critically acclaimed book, The Most Dangerous Man in the World, cementing his reputation as a fearless pursuer of truth. The War on Journalism examines the paradox of the digital age, the Internet's potential to democratize information versus the complicating factors like new technology and evolving rules that challenge the integrity and efficacy of journalism. Fowler's analysis is crucial for understanding the contemporary media landscape and the perils that threaten its core principles. This book is particularly relevant for aspiring journalists, media professionals looking to navigate the current climate, students of politics or sociology seeking deeper understanding of media influences, and informed citizens who keenly follow the news. If you fall into any of these categories, or simply yearn to comprehend the evolving battlefield of journalism, you won't want to miss the insights this episode has to offer. Join us for a concise yet thorough exploration of Andrew Fowler's The War on Journalism, where we unpack the struggle to maintain journalistic integrity in a world brimming with challenges. The War on Journalism, Media Moguls, Whistleblowers, and the Price of Freedom. Introduction. The silent siege on journalistic freedom. Is democracy at stake? Picture this. The pillars of democracy are not crumbled through overt conflict, but silently chiseled away by the very institutions assigned to uphold it. The culprits? Government agencies that have steadily encroached upon the freedoms typically enjoyed by the press. These powerful entities aim to bury the inconvenient truths and dissuade journalists from shining a light on the murkier aspects of governance. In an age dominated by internet virality, the value of independent journalism stands firm, as it serves as the guardian against potential overreach from those in power. This exploration will reveal why, now more than ever, we must trust in tenacious journalists to ensure our leaders remain accountable for their actions. Discover the appeal of freelancers for top-secret leaks. Delve into the compelling reasons Edward Snowden, the NSA whistleblower, chose to hand over top-secret documents to a freelance journalist over a well-established newspaper. Snowden's paradigm-shifting decision underscores the trust in individual reporters who operate outside the traditional media establishment. It raises questions about credibility and independence in an era where the freedom of the press is continuously contested. Uncover how media reports hasten the end of a war. Journalism has historically been a catalyst for change, influencing the course of monumental events. Consider how a handful of news stories became the unexpected triggers that marked the beginning of the end of the Vietnam War. These reports, filled with unvarnished truth, illustrate the power of the press to alter public perception and, consequently, to redirect the momentum of political and societal tides. Examine the controversy surrounding WikiLeaks. Amidst the digital surge in information dissemination, journalists have grappled with the ethical implications of platforms like WikiLeaks. The widespread criticism from the media echoes deep-seated concerns about responsible reporting, source protection, and the delicate balance between transparency and security. Through this lens, explore the journalistic quandary of reporting on leaked data and the fine line between public interest and reckless disclosure. As we navigate through these unfolding narratives, remember that the essence of journalism is not just in reporting, but in the ability to challenge the status quo. a feat that demands unfettered independence and a firm commitment to the truth. Part 1. Investigative Journalism, the cornerstone of an informed democracy. Every time you scroll through the latest headlines, you're engaging with a world shaped by the fearless work of journalists and whistleblowers. From the groundbreaking exposure of the NSA's encroachment on privacy to the financial exposés revealed in the Panama Papers, these narratives serve as critical touchstones in our understanding of global affairs. This essential work is attributed to the media's role as the Fourth Estate, a concept born in 18th century Britain that elevated journalism to a societal watchdog, tasked with holding the clergy, nobility, and masses accountable. Fast forward to today, the mission remains to keep power in check, provide transparency, and inform the public of actions taken by those in authority. Take The Guardian, for instance, whose history of tackling controversies places it at the vanguard of independent scrutiny. The newspaper's collaborative spirit with whistleblowers like Edward Snowden has not only unveiled the invasive surveillance of the NSA, but also reminded us of the seismic impact thorough reporting can have on collective consciousness. For democracy to truly thrive, media independence is not a luxury but a necessity. A free press is democracy's safeguard, ensuring that citizens are not kept in the dark by state-controlled narratives. The absence of this freedom would spell the end of impactful revelations such as those disclosed by Snowden. In contemporary society, the diversity of media ownership, from government-run to privately owned entities, offers a buffer against journalistic suppression. It is this very segregation that empowers reporters to delve into sensitive issues unabatedly, reassured that their pursuit of truth won't cost them their integrity or their safety. Part 2. The pen that sways the course of history. The power of the press extends far beyond the boundaries of the page. Time and again, journalists have demonstrated the transformative impact of their words, their articles not only informing but also possessing the potential to alter the fate of nations. Consider the whirlwinds of change sown by the Arab Spring. Journalists played a pivotal role, uncovering tales of corruption that were so compelling they ignited a revolution. The result? Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak toppled from power, his 3-decade reign ended by a swell of public indignation fueled by media revelations. Scandals brought to light can yield consequences ranging from policy amendments to political reckonings. The Panama Papers leak serves as a prime exhibit. These documents laid bare a web of financial deceit that ensnared Iceland's Prime Minister, Sigmundur David Gunnlaugsson, among others, resulting in his resignation. Here was the undeniable clout of investigative journalism shifting the political landscape swiftly and decisively. But media influence isn't confined to domestic politics. It can decisively shape wartime narratives too. Daniel Ellsberg's audacious leak of the Pentagon Papers starkly unveiled the U.S. government's deceit over the Vietnam War's prospects. As Ellsberg's revelations flooded through the New York Times, facing his own legal tribulations became secondary to the shockwaves rippling across a nation and its global onlookers. These reports fueled an upsurge in anti-war sentiment that many historians believe accelerated the end of the conflict. The conclusive proof resides in history itself. The might of the media not only holds up a mirror to society, but also can redirect the very course it reflects. In an era where truth is often shrouded by the veils of power, journalism remains a beacon capable of guiding a nation through the fog. Part 3. Freelancers, the bold new vanguard of investigative journalism. Imagine being privy to a secret that could shake the foundations of government power if revealed to the public. Many journalists have faced this very scenario, confronting the choice between publishing the truth and possible repercussions. In days past, the United States has seen journalists stand firm in the face of potential imprisonment to shed light on the hidden machinations of the state. But in contemporary times, the landscape has shifted. Mainstream reporters and editors are increasingly prone to self-censorship, wary that their investigative work might ruffle powerful feathers and jeopardize their positions. It's become an uneasy dance of considerations where, astonishingly, newsroom editors may seek governmental green lights before releasing critical stories. The concern is palpable: displease the authorities, and one may face not only career obstacles but also legal threats. The stakes are even higher for whistleblowers, who find themselves directly in the crosshairs of prosecutorial scrutiny. In this cautious environment, distinctive platforms like WikiLeaks step into the void, unafraid to reveal what many dare not. This organization's willingness to publish classified information has muddied the waters for traditional media, with journalists feeling both overshadowed and outpaced by WikiLeaks' unrelenting pursuit of transparency. Thus, whistleblowers are increasingly turning to freelancers, journalists often overlooked by the mainstream, yet undeterred by the fear of controversy. Chelsea Manning's long unreleased trove of intelligence records found no immediate takers among established newspapers and was finally brought into the public eye through alternative channels. Edward Snowden, too, opted for a route less trodden. He sought out freelancer Glenn Greenwald of The Guardian and independent filmmaker Laura Poitras, rather than a conventional news outlet. When Guardian editor Alan Rusbridger was presented with Greenwald's explosive NSA story, he hesitated, acutely aware of the personal and professional risks involved. This hesitation marks a stark contrast to the fearlessness with which freelancers are pioneering the modern face of investigative journalism, courageously filling the gaps left by their more prominent and sometimes less adventurous counterparts. Part 4. Navigating the Internet's double-edged sword in modern investigative journalism. Cast your mind back to a time when journalism was a painstaking craft involving dusty archives and relentless legwork. It was an era of slower leads and laborious verification. Then came the digital revolution. Today's investigative journalists are nestled in an intricate web of online resources granting instant access to a staggering wealth of information. The complete archives from countless websites offer the modern reporter an unprecedented investigative toolbox. Yet, for all its empowering speed and breadth, the Internet casts a long shadow over the financial sustainability of the media industry. As news consumption steadily shifts online, traditional revenue streams for newspapers have dwindled, raising existential questions for media organizations. Readers, accustomed to the immediacy and abundance of free information, are increasingly hesitant to pay for content, causing a quandary that even media giants like the New York Times and The Guardian grapple to resolve. With large revenue losses shadowing their digital transition, these institutions face an uncertain future. The complexities extend far beyond profit margins. Journalism is an essential public service, yet one that demands significant investments of time and labor. Investigative milestones like the Panama Papers were not overnight sensations, but the fruit of years of dedicated reporting. Journalists, like any professionals, have mortgages to pay and mouths to feed, and without a workable financial model, the craft itself is at stake. As readership for print media diminishes and online media struggles to monetize, the economic foundation that once supported investigative journalism crumbles. The Internet, with all its informational glory, thus presents a conundrum. It has expanded the means through which journalism is conducted and consumed, but at the same time, it poses a serious threat to the viability of the industry. The digital age offers boundless opportunities for the dissemination of truth. But the search for a sustainable financial model remains a pressing challenge for the free press. Part 5. Whistleblowers in the crosshairs, as the U.S. government tightens its informational grip. Questions regarding the breadth of freedom of information resonate deeply in the United States, a nation that enshrines the ideals of free speech and press freedom in its First Amendment. Yet, this protection seemingly provides a shield for journalists more so than the whistleblowers who supply them with critical insights into the gears that turn within government walls. Whistleblowers, Those who dare to usher clandestine truths into the light of public scrutiny tread a perilous path with little to no safety net. The story of Edward Snowden illustrates a stark trajectory, from unveiling extensive surveillance by the NSA to seeking refuge abroad, far from the reaches of U.S. prosecution. Stephen Kim's narrative follows a similar vein. His decision to disclose information on North Korea's nuclear activities to a Fox News correspondent led him not to international exile, but to a prison cell for over a year. These cases underscore a hardening stance by the government, a relentless pursuit to stanch the flow of leaks and button the lips of would-be whistleblowers. Heightening this atmosphere of surveillance is the NSA's reputed diligence in monitoring communications, a practice once insinuated by wiretaps but now amplified by the digital arsenal at hand. Officials may have denied the claim of citizen surveillance until Snowden's documents proved otherwise, but the implication for journalism is clear. Extra layers of caution must envelop the reporting process. To safeguard their sources, investigative journalists need to engage in an almost clandestine game. Encryption software, meticulous digital hygiene, and obscured real-world encounters are not simply precautions, but necessities. James Rosen's dealings with Stephen Kim, which lacked such discreet practices, stand as case studies in how easily a source can be exposed under governmental scrutiny. As the state apparatus hones its ability to uncover confidential informants, reporters are tasked not only with uncovering truths, but also with defending their sources from the subterranean dangers of retaliation. In this modern tapestry of information warfare, journalists and whistleblowers alike are hard-pressed to navigate an increasingly fraught landscape where truth-telling is an act not just of bravery, but of sheer defiance. Part 6. The relentless expansion of government surveillance. In the aftermath of Edward Snowden's bombshell revelations about the NSA, many hoped for a reined-in surveillance state. However, this expectation is met with a stark reality. Surveillance by the U.S. government hasn't contracted. It has arguably proliferated, with its gaze extending beyond domestic borders to peer into the activities of other nations, including allies. Revelations that the NSA had the audacity to monitor the personal communications of leaders such as Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel give testament to the reach and audacity of U.S. intelligence efforts. Despite public outcry and the ostensible curtailment of certain NSA practices, espionage ties run deep, with American spies entangling a German intelligence officer in their web, a move that soured already delicate diplomatic ties further. U.S. arm twisting didn't stop at spy recruitment. Germany faced considerable pressure from U.S. and UK intelligence to rebuff any asylum plea from Snowden, with veiled threats hinting at intelligence blackouts on terrorist movements should they aid the whistleblower. The politics of espionage cast a long shadow over allies, drawing a complicated web of complicity and coercion. Elsewhere, nations like Australia, far from scaling back, have intensified their surveillance mechanisms since Snowden's disclosures. While the United States allowed the Patriot Act to lapse, the very legislation that gave rise to this era of sweeping intelligence powers, other countries have been busy crafting laws to strengthen their own surveillance capabilities. Australia's emergency laws, for instance, grant government agencies invasive access to private communications data. The prevailing sentiment following Snowden's exposé, that of a newfound dawn of communicative freedom, seems all but a mirage. Governments tighten their grip, monitoring citizens with renewed vigilance and spying on each other with heightened intensity. Journalism, the industry once buoyed by noble ideals of transparency and open information, now navigates a thorny path. With surveillance apparatuses burrowing deeper and governments clasping their secrets closer, the challenge looms. Will the future herald an age of enlightenment, where information flows unimpeded? Or will it retreat into an opaque era, where the truth is obscured and the populace is shrouded in a state-crafted penumbra? Only time, with its inexorable march, will unveil what lies ahead. Final summary. At the heart of every democracy lies a foundational belief that knowledge enables informed citizenship, and to that end, the press must stand unbridled. A society vested with a potent free press can better hold its leaders accountable, fostering governance that is both transparent and answerable to public scrutiny. Yet, in the face of mounting governmental pressure and the sprawling reach of the internet, media freedom faces an unprecedented onslaught. The digital age has armed state powers with sophisticated tools to surveil and silence, yielding a chilling effect on both journalists and the whistleblowers who dare to divulge uncomfortable truths. The economic underpinnings of journalism, too, are shaken as the media landscape confronts an existential crisis, grappling with the transformation vested by an internet that champions free information but threatens the financial viability of traditional news outlets. The ultimatum thus laid bare is as unequivocal as it is urgent. Will journalism weather this tempest to emerge resilient, or will this era witness the withering of a critical pillar of democracy? The outcome remains wreathed in uncertainty, promising neither reprieve nor defeat, a narrative yet to unfold in the annals of free press history. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.